Welcome to the Coils, Cash and Culture Show, where we sit down with creatives and entrepreneurs at the intersection of Black hair care and business. My name is Taisha Friday, and I'll be your host. After researching the Black hair care economy, I learned in some countries, Black consumers can spend up to 9 times more than their non-Black counterparts on hair care. Despite this unwavering demand, there is still room for innovation in the quality of goods and services available. Through Coils, Cash and Culture, we're going to get a bit closer to the creatives and the entrepreneurs creating new paths in the industry. Black hair is business, so let's get into it. Today, we are joined by Samantha Kidjo, who is the founder of ICI Care. Thanks for joining us today, Samantha.
Hello, so excited to be here today. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited for this conversation. For those who are listening, to get started, rather than me introduce you, can you just tell us a bit more about you and ICI Care?
I'll try. It's so difficult. Introduce yourself, But yeah, I'm Samantha. I'm a material science engineer. My background is very mixed. I grew up in West Africa in Benin, where my dad is from. My other side is Ukraine, where my mother is from. Then I lived in France, and I've been living in London for the past 3 years and a half.
And you kind of have a mixed heritage there. So can you tell us a bit more about what that has meant for you in your hair journey? Like, before we get into the business and the idea, I'd love to know a bit more around your hair journey, because I know that has inspired a lot of people to then start their own companies.
Absolutely. Wow, my hair journey. I think it starts as soon as I got conscious of my own body and my own hair. Being little, playing with Barbies, I was a huge Barbie fan, and not having Barbies that would have hair like me, I think that's where it started, like that consciousness. I want long hair. And I would regularly say, I want long hair, I want long hair. And then, having my mom, who is white, and would be completely at lost with my hair and my curls and all the stereotypes around the hair that she would hear from, external people, not having the right advice. Despite living in Benin in West Africa, we did not get the right advice. So it was painful. It was relaxers. It was trying all the creams, that Dark and Lovely, I think it's called, trying, like, every time we would try a new product, my mom and I would be excited, thinking, like, okay, this is the right one. And just me having all that childhood of hoping to have long hair and being mixed. I don't have the mixed girl curl. I don't know if you see what I mean, but there's this kind of fantasy around those loose curls that are beautiful that I don't have. And it was a journey to learn my hair as they are and, like, see how beautiful they are and take care of them. And it was like a learning curve, but I'm so happy of, like, where it got me.
And then, first of all, in the Dark and Lovely stuff, I feel like it's just like, if you are of mixed heritage or you're Black and you have Afro hair or textured hair, however you want to describe it, people, it feels like we all have to go through the relaxer stage. And so I guess what did you take from that? When you became conscious, when did you kind of have this moment of, like, I want to build a solution within the hair care space? Where was the moment that you were like, I want to do something?
I think it started early on, like as a teenager. I think I was like 14 years old when I decided to stop relaxing my hair, because I was already at that age where I would take my own decisions coming to my hair. I've cut, I didn't do the big shot, but I cut, like, the relaxed hair and started discovering my own curls, it was like a learning journey about who am I, what is growing out of my head. And I just started looking into natural products we had in Benin, coconut oil and sheer mustard being the main ingredients that are there, cheap everywhere, like raw, natural. And I started mixing all those things, experimenting every week, and it built up. And when I was in uni doing my material science studies, learning about more chemistry, ingredients, and actually cosmetics, first I got so conscious of like, what am I putting on my body? What am I putting on my hair? Discovering that the hair products are not as regulated as skincare. So there can be a lot in there. And I think we all heard about the consequences of relaxers on us, with like triggering cancer, consequences that happen with some products where there are all kind of lawsuit with that. And it scared me, and I just started making my own products. I also tried to be more sustainable because every product comes in a plastic bottle, and I started feeling so guilty of using all of that. And yeah, it was solving my own problem, and trying to be a better citizen for the planet. And yeah, I just wanted to share this with people. I tried, share for social media, which is not my strength. I thought about writing a book, also not my strength. And yeah, then I created that algorithm that allows me, like, out of a hair quiz, a hair profile, I know which ingredients will work for you. I really went down the road, less is more. You only need a couple of ingredients. Once you find your ingredients, you can just go with it. And the business was born. I just kind of got into that startup part, tech part. I discovered about personalization and a lot of like online research and genuine curiosity about what is happening out there. And it just, came together.
Okay, cool. So you've started to talk a bit about ICI Care. Before we get there, you did mention that you discovered that hair products are less regulated than skincare products. I'm just curious, with your background and your like experience in science and then combining that with hair care, when you were looking at that, did you find any like good reason why it's not regulated, given that it's still a product that we're putting on our bodies? Like, did you end up finding anything interesting around the reason why it's not as regulated at all?
So I did not find an answer like that, but my assumption is that skin is our largest organ. So it is more regulated because the direct impact of what you put on your skin and how it goes inside there's a bigger impact when we think about how big that organ is. When we talk about hair, it's really about how we have our scalp, how your hair touch your skin actually. And I think because it's more indirect, there is like maybe less thoughts that go into it. But when it comes to products marketed to Black women, it's proven that it's like way more toxic, way less regulated. I don't think regulated is the word, but Black women end up having products marketed to them that are way more toxic, full of endocrine disruptors. And I think that all comes back to the fact that there is not enough Black women in those positions in the industry to say yes or no. Most of the products we are using are like owned by white men that don't have hair on their head. I love to say that. Maybe they do have, but they don't have our problems. Our bodies haven't been studied for our wellness. So, the impact of an ingredient on our body, if it's not studied, it won't be known. It can be as a hypothesis. It can be as an idea. But a lot of ingredients, when they come to market, they have been tested on some parameters, and Black women are often not taken into account. So maybe an ingredient will not have the same impact on us as on a white person, but we won't even know that. So there won't be any regulations behind because the studies haven't happened.
I think sometimes it's definitely possible that people can produce products and services and not necessarily be the exact reflection. But I do think you've made a very valid point of like a lot of the products we're making in the decision-making process of them deciding what to put in and what to not. The reality is they're probably not personally even having to try it. They don't have the final say, even if they're in the company. And so it is exciting to actually see a lot more brands coming out and address this and try to use a lot more natural, less ingredients, to be honest. Like, how many ingredients do we need in our hair? And so I guess you did touch on it, but let's talk about ICI Care. Like, from the top, like, for anyone listening, what is ICI Care and what are you trying to do with it?
So ICI Care was born out of kind of a dream of having truly natural products. And why I'm saying truly natural is because natural word is so overused, but I went back to raw ingredients. So when I'm talking about plants, I'm talking about plants, like the root, the flower, the plant as a whole on a raw state. So dried out into a powder, pressed into an oil, not cooked, not extracted, nothing like that. And the reason why I went back to that is because it's more sustainable. So it doesn't require as much energy as it would require if you want to extract something from the plant. And I just thought like, that's what my ancestors have been doing, whether it's like my ancestors from Benin, my ancestors from Ukraine, they would take a plant, you make like a little paste out of it and you apply. And they've been all right from what I know. And I thought, why do I have to go through so much headache in order to like be healthy? And I think healthy is very important. It's like, I am ICI Care is in for healthy hair. And it took me time to take out that cosmetic side of hair care where you want your hair to look this way. I don't want it like that. I want it like this. And sorry, it's a podcast. I don't want it up. I want it down. And, I talk sometimes to customers and I'm like, but why do you want your hair to go down when it's growing up? It's going to one way. Why do you want to force it in a way it's not meant to be?
Also, you make a good point. Even if they do want to have it going down, how do you do that in a healthy way? Not the quickest way, not the cheapest way. What's the healthiest way for you to have your style? Because I will say I'm a big believer that I think Black women for too many years, and actually I'll say this about Black consumers, so let's include everyone here, but generally there is a lot of opinion around how we should style our hair. And I think what you're doing is quite interesting because it's like, just how do you do that healthily?
Exactly. Healthily and by respecting your body and your hair. And yeah, that's, I think, the whole philosophy of less is more, slow beauty, like take your time. I know we are all in a rush, but actually take your time. And it will take time and just be okay with that. And your life it will be difficult in the beginning, but you will adapt to it. So that's the whole thing of ICI Care. It's powdered plants, it's oils. I have an algorithm. So there is a hair quiz. You answer a couple of questions around your lifestyle, your goals, your problems. And out of there, the algorithm and I will find the 4 ingredients that will change your life. No, but the 4 ingredients that fit the best your needs. And that can be what I used to sell, because we will talk about it later. I'm pivoting, but what I used to sell is like a mix of powders. And that would be those 4 ingredients in different amounts that you would mix with either water, or if you're doing a hair mask at home with like, avocado, banana, and so on. And you would apply. And I was always trying to tell people, like, take your time, actually enjoy it. It's not a burden. It's not like wash day is that horrible day. Take your time, apply it, go on with your day, love yourself, manifest, whatever you like to do. And then, even after like 3 months, you start seeing your hair actually thanking you. And I've been doing it now, I went totally natural with my products, with my own hair for 3 years. I haven't bought any product ever since, and my hair don't need it. And I only get compliments on my hair.
And so I'm fully understanding this. You fill in the quiz, you get recommended 4 ingredients that you should try on your hair. And is the idea that they will use products from yourself, or the idea is they can take that education and go and source the products that have that? Just so I've understood the idea.
So initially you would buy from me that powdered mix, and I also would make hair teas. So that's like flowers and plants that would come as a tea that you would like put in water at your place and then use as a spray, or again mix with powders. And initially I thought I will completely help people, like completely switch, but business being business is very difficult to make people change their habits. So I tried to sell it in a more way, like you can incorporate it little by little within your routine, whether you want to mix it with your existing conditioner, or, sometimes you like to make your mask, you add it, and like actually find your path, because there is no like one right way to do it. Find your path so it fits your life. And I think that's the latest version I've been selling, is like, how can we incorporate those products, those plans within your own routine?
So I love that. I love the fact that you're open to learning from where you started and then iterating, because that is, it's a curve that anyone starting a business or running a business has to go on. But I think the fact you're seeing that very quickly and adapting is amazing. And then I guess you touched on the fact there's an algorithm. To be honest with you, like, how did you go about building an algorithm? Just for anyone listening, I think a lot of people are trying to incorporate tech into hair care. So, and there's a lot of questions in other spaces. So if you look at pretty much every kind of platform that uses an algorithm, there's increasingly questions around who built it, who decided this algorithm makes sense. How did you approach building it?
Yeah, so it's true. We need more Black women in tech building our algorithms. How I approached it. So initially, I wanted to teach people to find their ingredients. That's when I told you I tried to write a book, big fail, because I don't have the patience for that. So it was really about how can I give that or share that knowledge, with it being kind of easier for me. And I think it's by talking also with people from like tech industry and just different people sharing my idea that I've got also that kind of feedback of, oh, you could make an algorithm with that. And I went down that road because I have this list of ingredients I've researched. I know like what are the common hair goals or hair problems of people. And it was about like matching the two together.
I'm just going to ask that anyone listening, if you are in some way, shape or form, have a background in science or tech, please, if you're interested in Black hair, keep going, because we need more of you building the technology and having input into that. And so I know when we discussed, when we first spoke, you were talking about the fact that you had tried to seek investment and access to some kind of funding. Can you tell us a bit more about what your experience was like? And really just tell us, from the start, where did you begin? Who did you look at? Who did you try to speak to? And kind of what did you learn from that experience?
Yeah, of course. So when I started the business, I had no idea of what is VC, what is an angel investor, or, I had zero knowledge. What I had was a product, a passion, and, like that drive a first-time founder has. So I went on like weeks. I've built my first website, put it on the products, worked out my algorithm, hair quiz, and so on. And in June 2020, I got like 2 orders from people that found me. I don't even know how they found me. So if you're setting up your website, set up your analytics. First point, because I didn't know where they came from. But I was like, what? 2 people that don't know me. I had zero PR and they ordered, and I was so excited. And I was so excited that I panicked because I didn't launch yet. I was just doing it on the background, and I refunded them. I was like, oh my God, I don't even know what to sell you.
Oh, wow.
Don't do that.
You know what though? I rate you on that, because you know what? That's being responsible, and that is being true to your customer, to be honest, and maybe not feel like you're ready. But that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, thank you. I remember my mentor back then, she said, she was in like, what? How can you do that? But I panicked. And after that, I actually like launched, and I started getting like, not crazy orders. Maybe it would be like 1 or 2 a month, but from people that found me. And that was very, it really warmed my heart, because I've put my heart in this product and I really came with a mission. And that's how I started going on with that. I've been in a Launchpad program at Hatch Enterprise in the UK. A Launchpad, it means they help me like take out my idea from my head and think of how do I go with it? How do I test it? So if I could give an advice, is like join communities, join programs with like-minded people. Like I would always target like Black founders, Black female founders things, because they understand actually the struggle you are going through. So that's how I started. After that, I joined another program that was focused on impact business, because my whole business was about sustainability also. My products being powders, it doesn't need water, it doesn't need preservatives. So it was very sustainable and eco-friendly. And from there, I had made one campaign with an app called Sweatcoin, where basically you walk and you get coins, which is like a digital currency. Anyway. And back then I, I got my products there and people could like pay £5 and use their coins to buy my products. And I got like 100 orders within 30 hours.
Okay.
I didn't have capacity for that. Like I have a picture. My apartment was full of boxes. My boyfriend and I all day, all night, just like packing. It was amazing. It was like, wow. And when I told some people that were around me about that, like mentors and so on, they were like, oh my God, this is like, you need to, take on the momentum and go for it. But the truth is that once after that started like pitching and so on, talking to people, I would actually get a lot of questions of, oh, but how are you scaling this? How do you know it's needed? I would be compared to other, female black owned haircare company. And the talk was, how are you like actually different? Which I'm clearly different. I have an algorithm. I have a specific product. The common thing is that we are two black women in the haircare industry, but it would be like, oh, but the UK already has this brand. They already raised £1 million. And I was very, back then, I really believed in it because I thought, oh, black women, they raised over £1 million. They validating the market for us. They did that hard work for us. But what I was hearing from investors was more like, we've been there, done that. We already like tick that box, like give us something new. And yeah, I tried for like a year, iterate on the feedback I would get and go back to new investors or the same. And I learned in the journey that actually if an investor starts telling you things of, oh, do that and come back, they most of the time not interested. So like you should just next, instead of like actually taking on too much feedback. And I think that's one mistake I've done. I took on too much feedback. As a founder, you need to know like, okay, this feedback is useful. This one is not aligned with me. But that's the learning I had. And I'm really grateful for like learning that the hard way, but now I know. So yeah, I ended up not raising because at some point with like life events, I just needed to stop. It's emotionally draining to fundraise. Being a black woman, I think it's 10 times more emotionally draining. And it was an amazing learning curve.
And I want to talk about the fact you rested. I have massive respect for anyone who builds a business. I think for anyone who hasn't, I haven't ever built a business, but by doing little side projects, it gave me like a kind of feeling of, wow, like actually if people really start to take this seriously, it can be taxing. So what did you do when you rest? When you took time out, did you completely step away from the idea just to really give yourself a free mind? And like, what has that done for you to take a step back?
Yeah. So the step back wasn't a choice. It was like life events that made me stop. But, taking the positive out of it, I think it was needed. And from all the founders I talked to, it's so difficult to not be doing something. We are so addicted and also we are so like groomed as a society to performance, to productivity, that not doing something, you feel like you're missing out on your life. Like, oh my God, all those days and so on. And the first step was like the learning curve of I actually mentally can't do something. Like my brain is not producing quality outcome, and recognize that and being, I would say, honest with myself that this is happening was very important. And once I've been through that, which wasn't like it just happened in a week and I was next stage, it was like maybe 6 months up and downs. I just started thinking of what am I trying to achieve with this business? Because obviously it was 2 years in. At some point, you just have that. I had that goal of I need investment to, scale the business, build this and build that. And it became my only focus that I was like, wait, why did I start this? And And I think a lot of like business advice is always like, yeah, always remember your why and so on. But it's like easy to say, but like your true why. And that's when I realized that I wanted ultimately to help with the sustainability in the beauty industry. Like there is over 12 billion units of waste out of the cosmetic beauty. And that's like already a couple of years statistic. I don't know what it is now. It's huge. When I go to like a store that has cosmetics, it's plastic everywhere. And we are all consuming it. And I don't think consumers should be shamed for it. But what are brands doing? You know, how are we actually making things better? We can't ask everyone to make their products at home. Like that's not realistic.
All in the kitchen.
So yeah,
cooking.
I know, right? Mixing our things. So I think taking that step back, I realized that what I was trying to build wasn't like a beauty brand, but more of a disruption of how the industry works. So, and that's where the engineer in me came out, is like, how are we making products and how are we designing our products to actually make change? And that's sat with me for maybe 9 months, like almost like having a new baby, of having new ideas maybe every week. But then with all the learning I had, I would like process that idea and come to, okay, maybe that's not the one. And it was like, oh, do I make a consultancy for brands? Do I make a new material and this and that? And it's, I think the most exciting part of being a creative when you're an entrepreneur is like you have so much ideas, but ideas are free, you know, how are you executing it? And like, and I just like learned now, I think from talking to the investors, being from the programs, I know that if I have an idea now, it needs to be an idea I can execute very well with no money or like very little money and get to a stage where I can actually pay myself before I say, oh, I'll go start and raise. Because if I can't pay my bills, there's no fundraising happening. I need to pay my rent and my bills, you know? So I almost forgot your initial question, the pivot. Yeah, that's how I went with like this whole journey. And one very important thing is that that's maybe also like with growing up, I became comfortable with the fact that it takes time. I really had that, oh my God, before this, I need to make it happen. And, you know, you see all those 30 under 30 and you see those young people making it. And I just started realizing that the people that make it and that are always in our media are often the same people, or maybe they would often have a certain background. And I started stopping like putting pressure on myself and be like, I have my own journey. Like I'm a migrant here. I built a whole network within 3 years, you know, reminding myself that I am doing things, and we all, you know, it's a whole talk. We all have our own metrics. I know it's so easy. We all repeat it, but it's actually like you have to integrate it in your head to sit with your ideas and take time for that and not be in a rush.
How would you position the business differently if you were going to be sitting in front of investors? Because you've touched on the fact that kind of the minute you say black hair, there is a lot of maybe lack of understanding, but also assumptions that, hey, black consumers are good. Yeah. What would you do differently if you were going to pitch this now?
So I would go back to the big problem. And within the hair industry right now, it is very, 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 very competitive. Like maybe you heard about all the celebrity brands launching. And when you look at them, they're not solving a specific problem. They're using their image. And the beauty industry right now is a lot of marketing, a lot of brand image, basically. So for a brand like me that comes and that will have to build that almost from scratch, what am I changing? I would really be more strong on my strength, which I think maybe the fact that I was a woman, I did not do it strong enough. You know, I'm bringing this new way of looking at hair care, whether it's raw ingredients, the algorithm, and what I've built actually brings like perfect margin for a business that I'm building. And I would be like pushing that to investors, like money. My business brings you money, because yes, they don't care that I'm, having a positive impact on the environment, that, Black women need it, or other people with textured hair, or even people with straight hair and maybe scalp problem. They don't care about it. They care about money. And big learning for me. I knew that, but I didn't know how much it was important.
It's a double-edged sword, because also because of your own personal experience, you probably want to sell that journey. But yeah, with investors, they are investing for a return eventually. And so the math has to be mathing. And so I think the fact that you're going to now focus on bootstrapping is super exciting. I think we see so much bootstrapping in terms of what's next for you in terms of ICI Care. What are you going to be focusing on in the next few years with it?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I just want to have one thing about bootstrapping. There is a lot of success stories about bootstrapping, but if you're a woman of color, just know that bootstrapping shouldn't be your main point. And I know it's often the only way we have, but secure your financial health first. Really, really. And I'm saying it because when I was younger, I really thought you read those stories, the tech guys, bootstrap for 6 months from the garage or whatever, raised. It won't happen to us, unfortunately.
If you can, great. If you have the situation where you can support yourself and you're willing to do that sacrifice, at the same time, like you said, it's important to remember your value and still dig for that funding, even if you start with small friends and family.
Exactly. And honestly, what I will be, and that takes me to what are the next stages. I will bootstrap, but I will bootstrap with the idea of how will it take the least of my time and energy so I can make money with a job. Because I need to build my life also while I'm building the business. So advice and next stage for me is go for programs that come with grants. I truly believe there's not enough grants for us, but focus on that. Go for support programs that give you grant. Go for programs that open you a network of high value people, and don't be shy about searching for that. You need money, make rich friends. If they like you, they will invest in you.
The stats show that you were more likely to be from a lower income situation. And so when you look around, you don't have a mate necessarily who's I just have a few grand that you can play with.
Yeah, exactly. So make those rich friends. It sounds so materialistic, but honestly, find people that believe in you, because at an early stage can be up to even you making 1 million a year. That's still early stage. People invest in you. So that was a long learning curve for me. And when I say they invest in you, it can be they actually really like you and they really think you're engaging and they really think you're a nice person they want to hang out with. And because in business, the product can change, the market can change, lockdown happened and so many businesses had to pivot. So the business is not what will always stay. You probably will stay. But again, the business shouldn't depend on you. They need to know that the business can work without you. So it's that, finding the balance. But market yourself. That's what I didn't do enough in the beginning. Market yourself, go on podcasts, talk, share your truth. And yeah, the next stage for me is to build the solution for creators and hairdressers to create their own sustainable hair product. Why am I targeting creators? While for the Gen Z especially, it became a true career path. It's not beautiful for everyone. You really have to be on the top 1% to get those brand partnerships to launch your own brand. And I want to disrupt that. So anyone that has a true community, a true, mission could launch their beauty product. I'm taking away the middleman, the contractor, and actually breaking it down and making it available for anyone.
Okay, cool. That's exciting. That's B2B, and that's going to be interesting because what's not going away? Creators. So that and they are gonna want to build beauty brands because we know that's where they start having a business of their own. So I'm excited. I'm gonna stay in touch and follow the journey.
Thank you.
Where can people find you? If anyone is listening and they want to reach out and they're interested to hear more, how can they get in touch?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Samantha Kidjo, and you can find me on Instagram. It's ec.care. And yeah, I'm running all my socials, so I'll always be happy to chat.
Cool, perfect. And so before we wrap up, one thing I love to do on the show is ask 5 quick fire questions at the end. And what I mean by quick fire is it just means whatever you first think of. What type of creators are you looking forward to working with?
Yes, so definitely I want to empower other Black women that are building a community around sustainability, slow beauty, self-love, self-care, and that are genuinely, they genuinely care about what we are living on Earth. It sounds very cheesy, but I really want that.
Okay, cool. Second question. You're stuck on a desert island. You can only have one hair product item with you. What do you take?
Desert island. I will take my shea butter.
Okay, fair. Okay, shea butter. Third question. What's the worst hairstyle you feel like you've ever had? I'm always curious, like, when did you feel like, oh, this is bad?
When I was younger, I really liked to let my hair down. But it was also like half relaxed, half not relaxed, didn't look good. And I would think like, oh, the wind is in my hair. But now when I look back at it, I'm like, oh my God. Yeah.
I know that feeling. I know exactly. I can actually see the texture. Anyone who's had their hair relaxed or permed and they're going through that stage where it's half kind of working it's not cool. It's not cool. We live and we learn. Hair and music. Every time you get your hair done, I feel like the music's always playing. So, what song are you listening to at the moment? Like, what song is on repeat for you?
Yeah, I love Take Up Spaces from Tony Jones. It's like an affirmation song, but really like with a nice groove. And, it just makes me feel like, yes, I am taking up space. It's really good.
What are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for, okay, sounds again cheesy. I'm truly grateful for my ancestors, like my ancestry on my dad's side and my mom's side. For the past year, as I said, I'm half Ukrainian, so the war in Ukraine has affected me a lot. And I found a lot of strength in remembering, whether it's like on Benin side or Ukraine, why my ancestors been through, and realizing that I am truly their wildest dream. First of all, that I'm this mix. And second of all, I'm here. I made my way through to London. I'm sure most of them never left their country or their village even. And I'm here, big city girl. And yeah, I'm grateful for them, because if not all their lives, I would not be here.
Oh, you're doing it. And you should. The reason I asked that question again is because I think we can be hard on ourselves. And everyone I speak to, I can feel it. I know you're hungry and I know you're ambitious. And I think it's always nice to pause and be like, look what you're doing.
Exactly.
You're putting something out into the world. And that is a big step that a lot of people don't take. Thank you for being on the show. It's been a pleasure to have you on here.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this conversation, follow us to find out when the next episode is out. And if you really, really enjoyed this conversation, maybe send a link to a friend. And if you really, really, really enjoyed this conversation, head to coilscashculture.com to sign up to our mailing list today. Stay well, keep smiling.